Here we are, folks. Kedrick Prince, Mike Kegley, IlliniGuys, halftime live. Ked, Illinois is up 49-45, but I can't help but think what could have been if Illinois had played a little bit better defense, allowing the Hawkeyes to shoot a blistering 61.3% from the field. And Illinois has the lead because they were hot at 53.6. What are your thoughts?
Well, I right away I was hoping you were going to lead with this, Mike. I don't know. I don't think it's Illinois' defense, and I know people criticize it all you want. If you're a statistic guy, go look online. You can hear the play-by-play or the color analysts talk about they're the two best scoring teams in the Big Ten. They're scoring for a reason. They're a good offensive team. Look at the last shot. Look at the last shot that they made. You can't play any better defense than that. Yeah. They come around screens, Mike, and they're shooting it so quick to where it's tough to cover. They are averaging, I don't know, I think Illinois at one point in time, I guess we can look it up, both of those teams are averaging over 80 points a game. Okay, so I'm not saying Illinois is – they're not getting a ton of open looks. They're contesting shots. There was a great out-of-bounds play that Fran drew up. And, for people who subscribe to our message boards, there's a running joke going around. I mean, if Fran does decide to retire, hire him as an offensive coordinator. There's a reason that people are saying that he's good at it. When Illinois beat Iowa and Champaign, they just didn't make shots. Today they're making shots. I know a lot of people thought, okay, this is going to be an easy game. The Hawkeyes are playing with nothing to lose. They're playing for their coach. And for those who think just because you played good one day, you can't play good the next day, false. Because in the late 90s, I forget what year it was, Illinois won 3 games in a row that day. I think it won in the Big Ten tournament and eventually lost to Michigan State in the championship game. So let's just give credit to the offense because Iowa can't stop Illinois either. That last shot right there to me was just that's what that's what you're seeing. You can talk about putting a hand in their face. Colin Boswell plays great defense. They had a hand in their face. Trey White, they're making tough shots. And at some point, we can't blame the defense the entire time.
Yeah, it is something, though, that I do think you have to be aware of. A couple things, I guess, if Illinois is thinking about, well, what gives us an advantage? The advantage would be that you don't expect Iowa to shoot 61.3 the next half. But then again, I'm not certain you can expect. Yeah, it's possible. And I don't know that Illinois, you should expect them to shoot 56.3. Illinois started off horrible from a turnover standpoint and only had 2 for the rest of the half, but had 3 of them relatively quickly there. As it seemed like a little bit of nerves out there, early on, and that's understandable. The rebounding wise, Illinois held a 19-8 edge. If I'm Iowa, I'm thinking I'm only 4 points behind, and I'm getting destroyed on the boards. You have to feel good about that. Owen Freeman's not going to be able to come and help. But, you have to think, well, if we can close that gap just a little bit, there's some reasons for Iowa to have hope, and they really they were 1 for 5 from the free throw line, which goes back to Brad Sturdy's. It depends on who's shooting free throws for how good a team is.
You're right, and I sorry I chuckled when you mentioned the 2 turnovers and they had 2 late. Kasparis turned the ball over the first two or three possessions he had it. Yep. I mean, maybe some people are used to it. I'm not. I cringe. I'm just not a fan of just giving away free points like that. And I do, it stinks that he picked up his second foul because he had a little bit of extra hop in his step this game, more so than what I've seen in the past. I think he's really trying to push the envelope here. But you know what? It's okay. But if Illinois going to win this game, they have one option to me because I don't think you're going to stop them from scoring. They're in a groove. They're going to have to continue to score too. Now, if I was going into this game, there was one advantage I knew Illinois had, and that was inside. And for some reason, the big fella just wants to sit out there and launch threes, and he's making them. I think that's great because analytically, threes count more than twos, which I'm not an analytical guy, but that's the advantage that they have. And I would like to see Merez get back in there. I was surprised at how well he did, Mike, considering he hadn't played in 5 or 6 games. He gave them some good minutes. And what about Will Riley? You talk about a guy, People who want to say, why do you want to come to Illinois? You're not going to get any better. We can talk Io DeSumo, Kofi Coburn. You can talk Terrence Shannon Jr. Terrence Shannon averaged, 6 or 8 points a game when he left Texas Tech. You watch Will Riley right now. I'll tell you right now, for me, if I'm on the scouting report right now, he's at the top of the scouting report for me. Not Ibises, not Cusparis. It's him. This kid is playing with so much confidence right now.
He is, and the interesting thing is he is picking out the open man, and I think he's doing a really good job of that. And right after the timeout at 3 minutes, I was a little disappointed because he brought the ball up against the press, got the ball to Boswell, and then just went right down the lane, and Boswell could have hit him for a layup or a dunk. It basically is I think, Riley is all over the court. You got to almost look for him now the way he's playing. I saw a comment here. What will it take for us never to see Fran again? Well, Sturdy and I have been joking for weeks that we'd like to see Fran as the offensive coordinator and like to see Bruce Weber as the defensive coordinator. So under those circumstances, I'd be more than happy to see him again. Of course, today on Mark Randazzo's podcast, I was on there, and I know Iowa fans seem to be tired of Fran, but beware. Illinois football has proven time and time again that just because you think you're getting a better coach doesn't mean you will get a better coach.
You're right. And I'm going to tell you, the question, I know it's no longer up there about wanting about Fran when you're never going to see him again. The bottom line is, man, I mean, that proves my point, how good of an offensive coach he is. It's just he's good at it, and there's no harm in admitting that. Sometimes people, because you dislike someone, it is what it is. And Kylan Boswell is playing great defense. I mentioned Trey White. I even thought KJ played great defense. They are making some unbelievably tough shots, and Illinois is going to have to continue to score, Mike. That's just the bottom line. Illinois is not going to go anywhere. And I see a guy 8 days or less. He's right. Iowa can't miss. And it's, 68%, 61%, that's remarkable. But if you have the opportunity to go back and watch this game when it's over with, look at the contested shots. Very few shots are uncontested. There's a hand on the shooter. There's a hand in their face. They are making tough shots. And like I said to you, Mike, and I'm going to look before we come back at the end of the game. I know they're the top two scoring teams, like I mentioned, but I know for probably 80% of the season, both of them were well above the 80s. I know that for sure.
Yeah, and I will say that the bottom line is that you really you have to keep the pressure on. You can't stop playing defense because they got hot. Yep. You've got to make them make hard shots. You have to give Sanford credit for that shot. He dead on nailed that 3-pointer with good defense. And all you can do as a defender sometimes is just give a guy a thumbs up or fist bump because he just made a great shot. But yeah. The other thing that you need to do, though, is you need to make sure that you keep forcing him to make the great shot, because usually if you're forced to make great shots, you end up missing at some point. I thought there was a lot of hustle out there. I thought Rickhouse had a hustle rebound, which was nice to see. I was not surprised by Morez, Ked. He just seems to take, for a kid who's so young, he seems to take everything so serious that I could see, it's not hard to imagine when he was working his cardio that he's thinking about when he's going to return and putting the extra effort that most of us wouldn't put into to be ready to do that.
Well, you mentioned the name right before Morez, and there was one time during the game, and I have to say I cringed. I got a little bit upset with Ben Rickhouse. There's not a lot of fans there, so you can hear what's going on in the arena. Will Riley was getting ready to make his move, and I'm yelling, not like Will Riley could hear me, doubles coming, and then he came right from behind and took the ball, and they came down and knocked down a 3. That stuff can't happen. You have to yell double because teams are going to do that to him. And he needs to be able to see it, and see it's coming, but that's what your teammates are on the court for. You got to yell double, or, obviously there's an old school adage when people dribble the ball and they come behind you yell wolf, but I didn't hear anybody yell that. And the reason I mentioned Ben was because he was the next closest guy there. Morez, I think if he can give Ibiza some minutes, You know, if I could right now, if you could give him 10, 12 points a game, it'd be great. It would be also nice to see Dre Gibbs Lawhorn give Illinois something off the bench. It's been a few games since he's done anything offensively.
Yeah, I agree with that. Still seems to be a little bit down a bit, but I thought he put in some good hustle. And I do think when you look at what's going on with Will Riley, you know, he has elevated his game. I guess that's the other thing that I look at is how much he's elevated his game this particular over the course of this season.
Mike, it's like I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Look at the improvement. You know, Robbie Hummel made a comment about it. This kid, he is right now. I'm telling you, if I'm scouting Illinois, he's the guy that I don't want to score. I'm going to try to find a way. And here's another part of his game. How, you know, what about his passing? He's passing the ball really, really well. He's defending really well. He's not the same kid that is, you know, as he was. Right now, you know, fans who are watching Will Riley, if you want to know why everybody in the country recruited him coming out of high school, and why, you know, all the top dogs in SEC and Big Ten schools wanted him, there was times when during the summertime, he would go on heaters and he would literally score 18, 19, 20 points in a row. And you're seeing that. It's not as many at the collegiate level, but you can see him do what he's doing. He made a couple, you know, get to the rim baskets, then he pulled up and shot a nice three. He's just really confident. And Illinois fans, you know, we all talk about Coach Bears, but right now, you know, Will Riley's getting it done. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and Riley is showing a little more burst than what people maybe thought he had. He's gotten around the corner a couple times, putting himself in position for layups. And I do think right now when Riley is looking to take the ball inside first before looking for the three, I just think he becomes really, really good for Illinois' offense, because then the spacing starts coming. And I do think he's just been very effective. And that's kind of the thing that you used to kind of enjoy through a season, as a guy getting better, you know, as he goes through. I don't know that he would be. I don't know if he would be a. I don't know if Riley would be a favorite for the National Player of the Year, but certainly he would be a guy that people would be looking at. And he's got the resume and put together a year that you would think his sophomore year would be pretty darn amazing.
It's going to be hard to convince him to stay, but if, you know, I know there's people in his ear, Mike. You know, Larry, one of our colleagues, wrote a really good column about him, you know, talking to a family member it was really in depth. I mean, it was really well done. And it would be nice, you know, people could kind of get a feel for what he's thinking. And my point to this is, if he came back to Illinois another year and just put on 8, 9, 10 pounds, I mean, he could potentially make himself a lottery pick as well. I mean, he really and truly could do that. I'm looking at stats here. Illinois averages, they left, and this is overall games, not Big Ten play, but Illinois averaged 83 points a game this year, Mike, overall. And I'm going to look at and Big Ten play, but this is why people need to understand, you're not just going to slow Iowa down from scoring. I mean, you're just not. You know, let me see here. Where's Iowa at here, Mike?
You just have to try to make them a little less efficient. You know, that's really what you're trying to do with them. And the other thing I think, you know, you can try to do, and I don't think Illinois quite got the defensive stopper they might have had, you know, back when they had Trent Frazier.
Terrence Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, that you might want to try to just keep Sanford from actually getting the ball. I mean, that's the other way that you can do it. I'm just not certain that, as good as Kylan Boswell is on defense, I don't know they've got a guy who's you know, maybe got the ability to prevent somebody from getting the pass.
Mike, you know what they do? They run such good offense, and they run him off screens, their sets. That's what's tough. And then what people remember this, good offensive teams, if you want to set a screen shoulder to shoulder, Iowa set screens where the defender can't come through. That's why they're open. All their cuts, everything is shoulder to shoulder. I don't care who's guarding them. Let's think back to last year. They did it against Illinois. I mean, when they had that great run, Final Eight, that was a great team. They run good stuff, and there's a reason that they're open. If you're going to go out there and set a screen just to set a screen and go through the motions, you're never going to screen anyone and get people open. They will screen guys. They cut hard. I'm not going to sit here. I don't think I was going to win. I really don't. I don't know. I can't predict the second half, and I've been wrong a million times before. But personally, if they can't figure out how to get screens and help, and if they can't keep the ball out of their hands, and when they have an opportunity to build on a 9-point lead to extend it, this game is going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, I agree with you. Illinois needs to keep the lid on the turnovers. And with that, folks, we are going to be headed back. We will be on right after the game, about 25 minutes after game completed. So check for us 25 minutes after the game's over, and we will give you the latest on the Illini victory, hopefully, at this game. Until then, folks, go Illini.